Hello and welcome to Sovereign RPG. I am Sovereign and today we're just going to quickly go over what sort of ships you should focus on in the early game because you get quite a few options if you're opening up those research crates. So I'm just going to quickly go over what ones you should focus on, what ones you should leave behind, because there are quite a few that are okay, then there's some really good ones, but it's confusing on which ones you should pick. So I'm just going to quickly go over from some information I've been given from some closed beta testers and also my own experience so far with the ships that I have tried. I'm going to make this a little bit easier for you. So these are all the ships that I currently have unlocked. Some of them are top notch. Some of them are not so good. Some of them that people say are really good and they're using them quite a lot, but I haven't had the same experience with those ships. So I'm going to give you my experience on these ships. So you have the Corvettes. These are your really small ships. They're almost the same size as fighters. These can be put inside of certain ships that you do have. For example, I have the AC-721, which is an aircraft type or generic type because you can switch to different types depending on which ones you unlock. Now this aircraft type can carry Corvettes and they have outstanding support capabilities. So these carry the smaller ships. They're kind of like carriers, but this is a destroyer. So in other games, if you've played EVE Online, if you've played Sins of a Solar Empire, etc., these are kind of like your carrier variants. I wouldn't recommend leveling up a Corvette as a standalone ship. If you haven't got an aircraft type, they can be quite useful, but there are better options. Now for some people, they've been using a lot of the frigates. I've upgraded into the destroyers. I've gone past that first step of the frigates, but a lot of people say to use the Reliat. They say it is your go-to ship. Now I used the Reliat for a little while and they were getting mullered left, right and center for your level 4s and level 5 NPCs. Now if you look at the firepower stats, you got 3,520 on anti-ship, you got 716 on your air defense and 330 on your siege fire. You have your basic stats of HP of 9,650. You have 800 on your basic cruising speed. You got 5 armor and your 4,000 basic warp speed. Now this ship is saying it's top tier anti-ship capability, but it doesn't have those defenses. When I used the full fleet of these Reliats when I first unlocked them, because I unlocked them before the ship I currently use, I was getting heavy losses each time that I was going into the level 4s and level 5s. I was going in with 8 and coming out with 3. Now you could upgrade this ship and it could become quite powerful if you so choose to, if you don't have the next option that I'm going to be talking about. Now the one I use a lot of is the Ruby. Now this ship's level 20. I've been using it quite a bit, as you can see. It has some upgrades, but I haven't done any really of the actual like Ruby railgun upgrades. I've been using a lot of my upgraded stuff for the next tier of ship. So instead of putting all my eggs in the frigate basket, I wanted to go into destroyers because I have a destroyer that I want to show you that is basically top tier. But this is the ship I've been using where I don't have to upgrade all of the weapons, etc. to be able to actually be viable. I go into any fights level 4 and 5 with the NPCs and I'm not having a single issue. They'll lose a little bit of HP on one ship, but then you just go back and repair it and it doesn't take that long. It is a really good ship that I've been using since it started and I've never had a problem with it. You're looking at 4,367 anti-ship fire, you have 592 air defense, and siege fire is 727. Its basic HP is a lot higher. Now this could be because of the levels. It has a cruising speed of 900 with 5,175 on your warp speed with a plus 675 enhancement. I added a little enhancement in there to make them sort of jump a little bit quicker. And it has your basic 5 armor. I have 10 of them in active service currently. And it has the same grade for the anti-ship capability, equipped with railguns providing outstanding firepower for your anti-ship capabilities. It's got B survivability, B on the strategic capability, B on siege capability. It's got decent siege firepower, etc. Even though we're not really using that right now. At the beginning, I was using the FG300 and I was having a really good time with the multi-role type. You can use that standard ship for as long as you want. You don't have to upgrade any of the other ships. This one's pretty decent. You can get through most of the stuff. You will suffer some casualties because they have less firepower, but they have decent shield HP over here. And it's very low manufacturing cost. So if you do take losses, it doesn't cost much to rebuild those. Now there's the armored type, which I did use for a little while, but these guys got absolutely smushed. I had 5 of these sitting in the front line, and then I had the rubies sitting back, and I had quite a few of the rubies sitting back, and all of these at the end of the fight died. So I had to rebuild them every time they were getting into the fight. So I had to change something up. So I just tried all rubies and literally no losses whatsoever. And you're mullering everything. Now it says it has top tier survivability, but this ship was just getting absolutely arse blasted. Now you have your recon types. The recon types actually have much faster warp speed, so it's less time. Just have 1 or 2 of these so you can use them to go around and you can do your searching and scanning of different areas in the systems, etc. So you can see what's in and where. This is what you'd use for your general recon stuff, which is pretty simple because of the name. I haven't used the Carillion, but I haven't heard good things about this ship. It's got very low firepower, but it does have good air defense. When you start getting to the later games, so I've been told that you do need to start mixing and matching some different kinds of ships. This is also another good ship to use for your recon. It's got very low manufacturing costs, so you can just churn them out if you need to do a lot of scanning of different areas in the game. Now, this is the ship we're going to be talking about today. This is the one that you want to put all of your energy in. I have upgraded the weapons on this bad boy. So I've got 30% max on the anti-ship damage, and I also have it. I have it on 16% on the second one because I haven't got enough. I used all of them to actually upgrade this one. I wasn't so lucky on the torpedo tech to be able to upgrade that weapon. But I'm putting in all of the XP that I'm getting into this. I'm getting all the tech points when I'm opening the boxes to put into this ship with 6,317 anti-ship fire. You got a good air defense and you got good siege fire. You have higher HP, obviously, because it's a larger class of ship. Your cruising speed is set as 700. You've got a pretty decent fast warp speed of 3,500, and you've got 15 basic armor. Anti-ship capability is grade A. You got good siege capability, you got good strategic capability, average manufacturing costs. You got anti-aircraft capability, which is a C, which means that if you go up against some carriers and these guys are chucking out some corvettes and fighters at you, you may have a little bit of trouble. The survivability is basic, survivability is grade C, but you're doing quite a lot of damage. I've just started to use these and they are rocking everything that I am throwing it at. I'm going to be using these as standard, at least for the moment. Now, I do have a couple of cruisers, but I haven't got to that zone level yet, so we can't unlock those cruisers, but I'm working my way to be able to get my outpost into the inner circles. I will be doing a guide on how to get from where you're starting out in your zone, where it's completely packed full of people, to be able to get out of there and get into a more resource-rich zone, so make sure to keep an eye out for that. So in basic form, I would skip corvettes. I would focus, if you have the FG300 from the beginning and start and you haven't managed to get a Reliant or Ruby, just go for the FG300 until you get into destroyers. If you get a winged hussar, make sure to put all of your tech points into that ship. That ship is amazing. The Ruby, in my personal opinion, is the best frigate. I wasn't a fan of the Reliant myself. If you get the Ruby, put those points into the Ruby, at least until you get into destroyers. Luckily in this game, the XP is set from class of the ship. So when you get these little tokens that you're doing from killing all of the NPCs, you get frigate ones, you get destroyer ones. So you can actually work on those frigates at the same time as working on destroyers, at the same time as working on cruisers. They all have their own separate trees, so you can upgrade them when you choose to. So don't worry about putting the XP points in the frigates when you have the frigate coupons. There will only be for the frigate coupons. You can't use them for the winged hussars. So just use them and you can mix and match. So if you, say for instance, this has got 6, this has got 5, you chuck these in and you have 5 points left instead of 6, then you can just chuck a Ruby in there. So you're going to be using different sizes of ships in your fleet. So you're going to be using different things to incorporate into a sort of fleet tactic. So it is good to have the different sizes because they will all be good for different things. Now, if anything changes and another ship turns up that is God mode, then I will let you know. I'm just saying for now, at the beginning, focus on your Rubies, focus on your Reliats, because a lot of people do love this ship. I love the Ruby and the winged hussar. I'm going to be using those ones. Now, I have these 2 ships over here, but I haven't looked too much into cruisers because they're so far away, but that will be a video I will do later on. Right, I hope this was able to help you guys sort of steer some confusion so you know which ships to actually put your efforts into. Remember to like and sub if you haven't already. This is your one-stop shop for all things RPG, mobile gaming and PC gaming. Fly safe and avoid local chat scams.